make an adjustment. The whole thing is slanted that way.
Oh, it's not supposed to slant. Wait, is it slanting down?
Yes.
Okay.
Now it's right. Better.
Okay.
Good enough.
All right.
This is the continuation of a Zogchen text by Guru Rinpoche, Padmasambhava. Naked awareness spontaneously arising. And the title is the whole thing. The rest is just somebody riffing off it. Guru Rinpoche riffing off it. However, since most of you like more words, I will give them to you. You got to remember, though, words, by their nature, express thoughts. Thoughts, by their nature, are inaccurate. They cannot encompass the totality of anything. They can only describe it from a point of view. Like the story of the blind men and the elephant. Do y'all know that Buddhist story? So, like that story, everyone had a point of view, but nobody knew what an elephant was. It's big, it's like a tree trunk, it's like a snake, it's hard like bone. It's hairy and tassely. It feels like soft paper. Ears, tail, whatever they were touching. And none of those perceptions of the elephant described were anywhere near the entirety of the elephant. This is an analogy for Zogchen teachings. So don't take the words to heart. Look where they point. This is important in any Zogchen teaching. Sure, you can memorize all the wonderful words and read all the wonderful books. And that and a token will get you on the subway. It's a matter of looking where they all point, and they don't all agree. Some say it's big, some say it's minuscule, some say it's inside, some say it's outside. Blind men and an elephant. If you put together everything all the blind men said, you might have some idea of an elephant, but it wouldn't be accurate. Yes, Jenya. Chuku kundu zongpo gompo yi dorji sempa garab dorji dang shere singi bardu shin lab de dam mabzan tata tu sum chi Zogchen jupe lamala solo dib Ergin pema junila solo dib Dorji chang chitilo narudang marpa mila gompo tatapa na pupadang palden trupa zu kargyu lama namla solo dib Ochen lama namla solo dib Drochen lama namla solo dib Kaginwari lama namla solo dib Shakya lama namla solo dib Yendu dang yundrun lama namla solo dib Alkondu Zhongdang Yerme Pa Gongarab Dorjijan Chakpa Jetidang Nisume Pai Alamanam Chetente Chong. The fuck? There it is. Actually, guys, we're on 6, not 7. So, translators out there, I had finished 5, I believe, although I think I may go back over a little bit and then begin on 6. No, I think I did do 6. Sorry about that. You're right. We're on 7.
Are we able to list the PDF in chat or no for this?
Yes. No, in chat? Sure.
Okay.
So you remember chapters 5 and 6, we're talking about the terminology. Some people call it this, some people call it that. Really, they were talking about the blind men and the elephant. Now, when you are introduced to your own intrinsic method, intrinsic awareness, the method for entering into it involves 3 considerations. The thoughts in the past, the thoughts you thought yesterday, you thought this morning, you thought a moment ago, they're gone. They are clear and empty, and they leave no trace behind. There is no residue left of what you thought about on Tuesday. You may have a memory in this moment about Tuesday, but that memory is not Tuesday as it was. It's the current story you're telling yourself about Tuesday. Thoughts of the past are all gone. Clear and empty and without trace. The thoughts in the future will be and are fresh and unconditioned by anything. They will simply arise. They do not need to be attached to the previous thought. You do that out of habit. Thought, 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 and then, well, nom, 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 and then you make these little talks that stick them together. Thought, 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 and it creates nam thought, discursive thoughts. But the little bitty nams, the little bitty thought particles, they aren't actually related to each other. Don't take my word for this. With your channels in alignment, go have a look. Release your obsessive compulsiveness of staring at the thoughts and forcing them to appear to make sense. Let them do their thing without you interfering. Look between them. Look beyond them. Look through them. You see how you create the connections? You make the talks that stick the little noms together. You create an illusion of connection. Do you remember dreaming last night? And your dreams have an illusion of one moment connecting to the next. But when you wake up and examine them, you can see just how disconnected most of them were. There was a dog, and then there wasn't a dog. There was a fish, but the dog didn't change into a fish. It's just that was the next thing that you thought. The disconnectedness is more obvious in common dream time. Must be one of those days. All right, and I can adjust this. That's right, I'm on an iPad, not a text. Make it bigger. In the present moment, when your mind remains in its own condition without constructing anything, try that. Don't make anything out of it. Don't meditate. When you actually have your channels in aligned, it's ever so much easier. Let it go. You can take a minute to settle into this. That's okay. You have a habit, a twitch. There we go. Just leave it be. Don't poke it. Don't make anything of it. Just leave it in its natural condition, exactly as it is, without you speculating on what that might be. Now I'm without talk. In order to enunciate to you, I have to make a talk. Watch the little bitty bits of thought attempt to arise, attempt to connect, or you attempt to connect them and simply don't do that. Sit on your hands, metaphorically. Awareness at that moment in and of itself is quite ordinary. What, you think I'm going to show you something that makes your eyes bug out and your mouth drop open? Nuh-uh. When you look into yourself in this way nakedly, without talking about it to yourself, without speculating about what it might be, without attempting to contain it in thoughts and ideas, since there is only this pure observing, there will be found a lucid clarity without anyone being there who is the observer. Only the observation will create the observer. When you don't make the observation, you don't make the observer. Try it again. See what I mean? Just relax. All sorts of random thought particles will pop up. I just had a fish. Oh goodness, and there goes an aardvark. I'm connecting them for you to see them, show you the process. But you don't connect them because you're not trying to show this to anyone right now. So there's no requirement to connect it. Don't think about what you're thinking. And when you look into yourself in this way nakedly, in this pure observing, this awareness, this naked manifest awareness which is present, is empty and immaculately pure. This naked awareness which is present has always been there, whether you're thinking or not. It's just that since you're obsessed with your thoughts, you don't notice it. The training of Zogchen is simply training you to notice it repeatedly until it becomes an of course. Utterly simple, not something you can't do. If you are willing. If doing this frightens you, this is the sign that you need to do an ordinary and an extraordinary nundro. That's what they're for. It is also possible, if you have some reason why you cannot do those practices, to use rushens, which are Zogchen nundros, for that purpose, semzin. But semzin are nundros. Be aware of this. They are not Zogchen. If you are not afraid of this, if you find this rather comfortable, then there is no reason to do preliminaries to it. This awareness in and of the moment, to which nothing has been done, which has not been clothed in any story or speculation. This empty and immaculately pure awareness is not being created in the moment. It is inherently and intrinsically there. It is the vitality of emptiness, also called innate Buddha consciousness. In Sanskrit, bodhicitta. This natural awareness is authentic and unadulterated. It doesn't experience any duality of clarity and emptiness. When this becomes, when the noticement of this becomes habitual, through the practice of Gom, which is the second word of Garab Dorji, you will become certain by your own experience that it has always been there and always will. In that clear certainty, which is poetically called letting mother and child luminosity unite, where mother luminosity, lucidity, clear light nature of Dharmakara, it's all things we call this just naked awareness. The mother luminosity of ground is the inherent natural state of naked awareness, which has been there from beginningless time and cannot be distorted, only distracted from. Child luminosity of ground, or child luminosity of path, is what is pointed out by your teacher in the four wrongs, in the pointing out. When you recognize those two by your own experience as one and the same thing, which comes when you have changed enough, you understand that you're made of experiences, right? So when this becomes your basic experience, you are that. It changes you into that. So that your little mind, which practices path, which wants to get enlightened, and your, that's called Sem, and your big mind, Semni, are recognized as one and the same. Now, don't take my word for this. You gotta do it yourself. Because all I'm giving you are more Nam talk, discursive thoughts. The practice of this is utterly simple. You start by, during your day, whatever you're doing, take a moment, sit down, align your channels, and stop. Put your book down, put your phone down, and stop for a moment. And then pick it back up and go on with your day. Eventually, you will be able to clearly see this without having to stop for a moment. Eventually, the fact that there is no this or that will become obvious. Simple method, but you actually got to do it, not think about doing it. You know how many years I spent thinking about doing this without actually doing it? Sitting there and pausing to think about doing it? That won't work. You actually got to do it. That's the secret. That's the key. Without any duality of clarity and emptiness, it will also lack the duality of permanence and impermanence. Take a sip. I'm projecting my voice. I probably don't need to since I have a microphone, but I was used to doing this without a microphone. Habit. It is here where you no longer mistake a duality of confusion and wisdom. That wasn't the text. I said that. All of you out there who are trying to find where it is in the text that I just said. Saw you do that. It is not a mere nothingness or something which is that has been annihilated. It is not a mere nothingness because it is lucid, awake, and aware. It is not something that has been annihilated because Namtok, discursive thoughts, have ability to arise without attaining any form of solidity. It does not exist as a single entity because it is present and clear in terms of being many. Look, multiplicity in samsara is self-evident. So is unity. That is a duality made by Namtok. Multiplicity and unity. No, we are not one with everything. And yet we are not in any way separate from everything. You really got to put down all the either ors and embrace the ands. It is not created as a multiplicity of things because it is inseparable and of a single flavor. Flavor is an analogy. We don't have good words for sensations of the yi. Of the tongue, we can say flavor, and then we can talk about salt, sweet, sour, bitter. Of the nose, we can talk about sweet and pungent. Of the ears, we can describe sounds, but we just have not developed the right vocabulary for sensations of the yi. And that's what we're pointing to. Mind as a sense organ. It does not exist as a single entity because it is present and clear in terms of being many. It is the creativity that allows many to occur. How would it be if we were all one person, like we were all here, but we were all exactly the same? Wouldn't you get bored of talking to each other after a while? I mean, I get bored when it's all white folks in here and all Americans. You know, I kind of miss the Europeans coming in, but they can't get in at the moment safely, so. I happen to like the flavor of multiplicity a lot. So I like out there talking to y'all that we have all the languages being translated and all the people from different cultures. This is the multiplicity that mind creates. So you cannot say that it exists singularly. On the other hand, it is not created as a multiplicity of things because it is inseparable, interconnected, and of one taste. Look again to see what I mean. Don't think about looking. Stop that. Relax further. Relax yourself past describing relaxing. Allow the thought particles to dance as they will. As many as there are, Rika, in the sky. This is the one flavor when you stop thinking about it. When you stop connecting all the thoughts that might be about it or might include a persimmon. This inherent self-awareness, that is, it is aware of itself. This is awareness aware of awareness. It's not self-awareness as we would talk about it in culture. You know, he's not very self-aware. He doesn't realize he's got Klingons. You might say of someone you almost dated. It's awareness aware of itself without thinking about being aware of itself. That's what we mean here by self-awareness. Wrong-rig-sel. Luminous, wrong-rig-sel. No, transparent self-awareness, wrong-rig-sel. This is the real introduction to the actual condition of things. This is the pointing out. It is a different style of pointing out, but it points at the same thing that we point at through all the different styles of Madhyamika and Mahamudra and Mahāati. Are there questions out there? Or are there questions in here? Yes, Molly.
Oh, let me give you a microphone.
Are the eyes supposed to maintain focus, or is it okay if they go fuzzy?
They're not supposed to maintain focus at all. When you maintain eye focus, because your attention follows the gaze of your eyes, your attention will also go to point focus, and it will inevitably pay attention to what you're thinking. So the trick actually is to do the Zogchen eye focus of releasing point focus. You can all sort of assume that for any kind of relaxing Zogchen. You don't maintain point focus. Anything coming in from outside?
Yes, the internet also has questions.
Try to keep them on topic. Choose ones that are on topic.
Okay. Now I know the nature of mind. I now see my life, my Buddhist path, and GOM is being, as you say, which is merely confirming what I have always seen but not recognized. What more is there?
Read it to me again, word for word.
Now I know the nature of mind. I now see my life, my Buddhist path, and GOM as being, as you say, which is merely confirming what I have always seen but not recognized. What more is there?
Allowing the karma of the display to complete itself while remaining this. Otherwise, it will reemerge and knock you silly. There's always something bigger than you are. I have a story for you. I've told this before. It's a very fine tulku, very strong meditator, Zogchen and Tantra, a young tulku, must have been in his late 20s, maybe early 30s. The Chinese got him on the way out. Eventually, his monastery and everybody else managed to ransom him. But while they had him, they tortured him beyond a point he was able to deal with, because everybody's got that point. You know, the hero in the movies always resists torture, yada, yada, yada. No, that's not real life. Everybody's got a point. And forced him to do things like piss on texts. Big digpa. Eventually got bailed out and was out. But it had broken his Dharma. Eventually his body mostly recovered. But he couldn't teach anymore. And he had been a well-known teacher. He thought that nothing was bigger than Dharma, not realizing that that meant he thought nothing was bigger than his Dharma, and he met something that was. For his many life progress, this is actually not a setback. He learned something very, very important. But, oh man, it took me forever to just get him to do tag team with me up on a throne. I think he may be recovering now and have a little small gompa and be teaching people. And he's quite capable of it. What you have to realize is that no matter how much you know, there is something stronger than your realization, because it's still yours and it's still held in a channel pattern. And that can still be affected by physical things. Now, maybe the 16th Karmapa. Well, all we know is that cancer wasn't bigger than his practice. And he didn't need pain meds when he died of it. And the last thing he said as he was dying was to his doctor, you know, nothing happens. So I won't say nobody, but I'm betting you. Your practice has not reached that. So what you do for as long as the body is there, you you relax into, you permit this until such time as rainbow body occurs. That is the sign of completion. That is the sign of the display having completed itself. You can accelerate this occurrence using Togyal, a method of sitting in certain positions with certain eye gazes from this state. If you can't get into this state, you can't do it any more than if you can't ride a bicycle, you can't pat your head and rub your tummy while riding a bicycle. All you're going to do is skin your knees. So you have to be to the point you're talking about out there in order to even approach Togyal. And then it's simply an accelerant for allowing the display to complete itself. It will do it with Trekcha anyway, if you stay with it and don't just go play with your fun cities. How do I know this? Within this intrinsic awareness, the trikaya, the three jewels, Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, Nirmanakaya, are inseparable and fully present as one. Do you all understand the terms Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, Nirmanakaya at a gut level? Okay. Let me tell you how I learned those terms. Pretend you don't know those terms and you're learning. Oh, no, let me teach you 3 new terms that you don't know. Sit with your channels in alignment. Shoulders back. You're going to squeak. There. No, pull your hands back into your butt, into your groin, into your groin. You're not fiddling. I know I won't think you're fiddling with it. There you go. Relax. Allow the thought chains to disconnect by simply ceasing to maintain the connection between thought particles. Without the limits of the thises and that's imposed by your thinking, there is a infinite, empty vastness, a stillness. Do you see that? That's called Chuku. Now it has a name, so if you want to say something about it, you can. Keep looking. Do you see the looker? The seer that normally gazes out from behind your own eyes? The meditator? Not the personality, just the awareness itself that is aware of Chuku, that is aware of thinking. That naked, awake awareness. That's called Longu. And you see those little thought motes that keep dancing around trying to connect with each other? Those are called Truku. Now you have learned 3 new vocabulary words. That's how my teacher taught me Chuku, Lonku, and Truku. It was maybe a year later that a real translator, like a book-learned one, turned up and told me that those words actually meant Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, and Nirmanakaya. I thought they were just Chuku, Lonku, and Truku, obviously quite familiar concepts by now. So don't make them something highfalutin. We simply call that infinite vastness of natural mind Dharmakaya, Chuku. And the vitality of it, its awareness, its ability, the lucidity, which we euphemistically call the clear light nature of the Dharmakaya, which is intrinsic to that emptiness, is that it is awake and aware. We call that Lonku, which is Sambhogakaya. You see how Sambhogakaya is simply an intrinsic aspect of Dharmakaya? It is the ability to think, feel. It is shared by all life. There aren't separations within it. It's simply that energy of a life force, which when not adulterated by constrictions, digpas, negative karmas, it is the enlightened nature of all Buddhas. Buddha consciousness, Bodhisattva. And all the little dancing bits of thought and physical sensations and feelings that the lucidity lucids at, creates to lucid at, its entertainment, well, those are Nirmanakaya. But you see, The entertainment of the lucidity is not something separate from the lucidity, from the awareness. It creates it within itself, like having a daydream or a night dream or a fantasy. Your entire life is a fantasy. You made it up, which means you have an incredible power over it. You don't like something about it? Make it up different. Once you realize this, you have that power to make it up whichever way you want. Within the integrity of the dream. It's like in dream yoga, I tell you, you're going to wake yourself up if you don't respect the integrity of the dream. If in the dream you are not able to fly, don't try. Because you'll just pop out the top of the dream. You'll wake up. Walk. Unless wings grow upon you, and then you may fly. So in the life stream of perceptions, you have to respect their integrity. But within that, the future and the past are both mutable. Got a trauma? Remember it differently. Remember that you won rather than that you lost. Like Pee-wee, the first guy that ever raped me. I knew how to do this even then, so... Did I ever tell you guys that story? Istanbul. No, Tangiers. There's a guy who I knew from the crowd around. Claimed to be a Sufi. Okay, cool. I'm interested in Sufis. And there was a party, and he knew where it was, and we were going to go to the party, but he wanted to stop off home for his stash. Cool. I want to go to the party, but I don't know where it is. So I go up to his place with him, and it's down these weird alleys in this Medina, and we climb over a goat pen, and we go through a door with many locks, and we get into this weird warehouse place. And he says, well, let's blow some before we go. And it had opium in it, which I didn't realize. He had an opiated hash. So I had a couple of pipes, and I'm like, ugh. And the next thing I realized, I'm tied up. And so the guy goes through his process, and I'm getting pissed off, but I haven't a clue where I am or how to get out of there. So I said, okay, well, I was horny anyway. Let's see where this goes. But he wasn't good at it. So I got pissed off. Because here I am having kinky sex with this guy down a deep back alley in Tangier. Cool, I've been reading William Burroughs. This is fine. Except he's rather small hung and not very good at it. So finally we get dressed and go on to the party. He figures, he's a good Muslim, you see. So he figures I must be embarrassed by this. By this time, I'm like half pissed and half laughing. My choice of how to see it. So we get to the party, and I'll say, guys, you'll never believe the funny experience I had on the way over here. And I tell the story, and then I turn to him and say, Pee-wee, you gotta up your game. He had to leave town because the Pee-wee name stuck. The point I'm making by this story is that you choose how to see what is happening to you. I've had other experiences that should have been highly traumatic that weren't. And I've had experiences that shouldn't have been the least bit traumatic, like somebody looked at me. That has been highly traumatic. Or confused me by saying some slang word that I didn't know, and that was just a great trauma. It's how you take it. It's not fixed. This makes sense to anybody? So choose how you're going to write the story of what's happening to you. If you don't like how you think it different. It's just Nam talk. Within the integrity of the dream. I couldn't get myself unchained from that thing. The integrity of the dream was that there I was. So you work with, that's too damn stoned. That was, in the process of me learning not to go about too damn stoned. That still took another year before I learned that. Now, you've all probably learned that by now. Those of you who haven't, let me tell you, don't go about too damn stoned. Within this intrinsic awareness, the Trikaya, Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, Nirmanakaya, are inseparable and fully present as one. Do you see how that works? Since it is empty and not created anywhere whatsoever, it is the Dharmakaya. Since its luminous clarity represents the inherent transparent radiance of emptiness, it is the Sambhogakaya. Since its arising is nowhere obstructed or interrupted, it is the Nirmanakaya. You who asked me what to do next once this was all quite obvious. You have to allow its arising unobstructed and uninterruptedly without trying to fix it long enough for the display to complete itself. Sometimes I suspect that one of the reasons Togel works is that you're in a particular body position, so you can't reach out and poke at anything to try to fix it. Once you know this, then you stop poking until your flesh form falls away and your rainbow body is evident. You don't get rainbow body. You don't turn into a rainbow. Your channel body is your rainbow body. You already got it. It's just not evident to you and others at this time. Because karma is creating your flesh body. When you exhaust the karma by letting the display run down, using various techniques to speed it up, or just sitting there, it runs down. Long as you don't pull back out of the survival instinct, out of the self-preservation instinct. If you do pull back out of that, it won't happen. Your flesh body will die in the process of your rainbow body becoming prominent. So you got to not have a problem with that for that to happen. Otherwise, just sit in Trekcha. If you're not ready to die, it's too soon for you to be practicing Togel. Because you might be hit by a truck tomorrow, so you better get ready. These three, the Trikaya, being completely and fully present as one, are its very essence. Questions? I'm trying to make this completely understandable and yet show you the beauty of it. I mean, I could just chant it as poetry with Wong, but then you'd have a very nice experience and you'd go home and go on with your life, which you'll probably do anyway. Yes.
What you would say, I'll say it's not unlike playing a video game, that a video game comes with its own internal rules. It's a story that exists
only when you're playing it, but you can also play it any way that you want. That some people try to get through it as fast as possible to reach the end. Some people get extremely upset. They're throwing their controller at the TV, but this is something that, they're only upset because they're playing the game and they've made themselves
And they
this
started
upset when they can just
believing the
turn it
game.
off.
May I recommend books by Jack L. Chalker? Have you read any of them? The question through several books is whether this is a video game or not, and whether we are still in it or not. As many different occurrences happen in life, and it starts out where people go in to play a test video game, and then they come out, but did they come out, or was that part of the test video game? And it's very interesting. If you like to play video games, I recommend those books by Jack Chalker. Did I answer your question? I agree with you. It is very much like a video game. That's a non-traditional Tibetan analogy. They say like a mirage, or the display of a magician, because they didn't have video games and TVs to use as analogies. Any questions in the out there?
Yes. Let me take this microphone back. Earlier, you were talking about the idea of working with the dream. And we had one person ask, why, for some practitioners, is it much easier to see the nature of mind in the dream time?
I've never heard of that. I have no idea. I've never heard of anyone seeing nature of mind more easily in the dream time than in the awake time. I'm sure it could happen, but it's not within my experience or any story anybody told me. Anybody here have that experience? So next question. I don't have an answer for that one. Oh, yes.
I'm just these new words that I'm learning. You have long chu,
Chuku,
chuku,
Longku,
long ku,
Trulku,
true.
Trul. Ku means body, as Kaya means body in Tibetan. It's a polite word for body. Zug is impolite. When you want to ask a venerable person how they are, it's Kusu Dewa Yimbe. Wherever you just want to say, hey, move over, Sukpasho. Get off the bench. You might say to your dog, get your body off the bench. Or the cat or whatever. Yes. Yes.
Is Nirmanakaya,
Yes.
long ku, Sambhogakaya,
Mm-hmm.
and chuku dharmakaya.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you.
Nando, anything else out there that's close to on topic? We're in Zogchen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. We keep sort of edging over into there. One moment, and I'll have a question for you that I saw recently. One person asked, why does this particular practice make them feel tired?
There are a variety of reasons why this particular practice would make you feel tired. One is you have a resistance to it. And so the push-pull, of resistance to the practice is exhausting. So you might want to examine your resistance and do a Rushen to deal with that. You might want to see what part of this you're resistant to, and then ask for what Rushen might be suitable for that, or Semzin to help you get past that particular resistance. The other reason being, like many people, you may actually simply be short on sleep. And when you're not busy with something, distracting yourself, you notice the fact that you are damn tired. So if that person asking has young children, that's why. Next question.
Shoot, where was it? One of our Spanish viewers wanted a few more details on the rainbow body and what it is.
Your channel body, not just the central channel and the two side-by-side channels, but all the chakras. Ah, damn. All the chakras and the rays that come out of the chakras. We do not have a Tonka in here that I could point to, but when you look at a Tonka of a teacher of Guru Rinpoche, there's always these little things coming out, filaments coming out, and they go straight out. They're not curved. That's a symbol of rainbow body. It's like the halo that you see around saints is a symbol of rainbow body, but they don't quite draw it as detailed as the Tibetans. So it's the inherent channel body in it, in you. Only it's obscured by the meat and your habitual focus on the meat. I mean, you put a lot of your daily energy into taking care of that meat. You know, you feed it, you wash it, you decorate it like a Christmas tree. Sometimes. Mardi Gras, you decorate it like a Christmas tree. Other times it's more, you know, you go for elegant or something else. You exercise it so it don't get fat. You pay attention to how many beignets you're having every week. Everybody pays attention to the number of beignets. Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, so you can see these things sticking out. Well, they're there anyway. I can see them on you. But I have to shift where I look. It's just what you do when you're looking at auras. It's a diagnostic method. So aura sight is totally simple. I once did an experiment in I was working the night shift at TSA. It wasn't TSA then, it was private. And so there were no planes, much happening, nothing was going on. We were all bored. There was a stuck executive, a floor sweeper, and another security guard. And I wondered just how easy it was to teach people to see auras. So I tried it. Worked on all three of them. It's easy to see auras. It's just a shift of your gaze. You want to see that? You want to see auras? Okay, have I got white behind me? No. You all turn sideways, looking those ways. So you can look at somebody with like a solid color behind them. Grab a chair if you would, Karen, and sit up on a chair so that you're against the white. And would you also grab a chair and sit on it? So you all use them as an example. You can look at me if I wiggle it, but there's so much behind me that it's hard for you to see it for the beginning. So first thing is to grab a white background. Doesn't matter how far close to you are, just as long as you're in front of the white background. So when people look at the one across from you, you see them against a white background. If they're against the window, move your spot. Or switch people. Okay, align your channels because it makes life easier. So actually turn your body towards the person you're looking at. Just to make it easy for the first time. Yeah, let's see, how shall I go? I'll use him. Relax your eye gaze like the Zogchen thing. You don't have to relax your attention, though, just your eyeballs. Going to start seeing colors shapes. It'll come and go at first. Sometimes they look dark. Sometimes they look light. Shapes around their head is usually the easiest place to see it, although it's around the body too. It'll look like it sticks out. The brighter level for maybe a centimeter. And then there's another level for an inch or two. And then there's another dimmer level that goes out past that sort of fades out after about 6 inches. But if you keep looking, it'll seem to extend even further. Sometimes it seems to shift to the side and move back in. Just relax your eyeballs. Squint a little bit if you need to, but keep your eyeballs relaxed. Find it easier with my eyes, like just a crack open. There we go. It's not quite as fully relaxed and open as the Zogchen focus, but it approaches it. It's like halfway into the Zogchen focus. How many of you have seen it so far? Okay, keep working at it. This is the trick. It's totally easy. It's an eye focus thing. You will find that trees have them and mountains have them, but they're different from what's on people. It is really not that intrusive to sit on a bench or in a cafe and look at people do it with people across the way, because you're not going inside them, but don't bother them with what you see. Not unless they ask. They can always say, "Why are you staring at me?" So I'm practicing learning to see auras. I'm sorry. I hope I didn't bother you. Usually you get well, what color is mine? Then you get to tell them, you got some nice pink in there, like almost a fuchsia on the close-in levels. That's often a bodhisattva sign. Bodhisattva sign, a sign of someone who will have ease with experiencing bodhisattva. So, yeah, you. Yeah, I was using you as an example. If you see lumps in it, check again. It might be your eyes, but if you perpetually see lumps in it, if they ask you, warn them that they should probably get checked out by a physician and tell them where the lump was. But not just in your first sight, once you're good at it. And only if they ask. Otherwise, it would be intrusive. Have you ever had a serious illness and had everybody come to you with, "Oh, here, take this, and here, take that"? I mean, I remember having COVID and people giving me aromatherapy and offering to stick needles in my hands. Now, I'm an acupuncturist. I know that a person of my age, you have to be very careful with hand needling. Apparently, he didn't know that. It's like, fuck, who trained you? It has to do with the skin and the sun exposure of the hands. It gets very thin and you break the blood vessels too easy. So you go for back needling instead, because that usually got protected from the sun. So that's an annoying thing to do to someone if they don't ask. They gotta ask. Next question.
How is this nature of mind related to the sense of center behind the eyes?
The sense of center behind the eyes is an illusion caused by you not having seen your nature of mind, which is not in a specific location like that. However, because you are Western culturated, you will believe that mind is in the brain because somebody told you so or you read it on the internet. Look, how many of you believe everything you read on the internet? How many of you believe everything you think while you're thinking it? This is a problem. I assure you, your thoughts are just as stupid as all the stuff on the internet, because all the stuff on the internet is just somebody else's thoughts. Their take on things. You read Fox News, it's one take on things. You read NPR, it's a different take on things. In both cases, they're making it up. Something may have happened, but by the time you read it on the internet, it's been through several people. The internet is just thoughts. Your thoughts are just internet. Next question.
Is disconnecting the thoughts, Namtok, the process of Tawa, the practice of Tawa, or a method to get to Tawa?
It is one of the many methods to get past your obsessive compulsion with what you're thinking so that you are able to perceive Tawa, which is the first step. Perceiving Tawa is the first step. From perceiving Tawa, you have to relax into Tawa and identify with it. But you need to find it and see it first. So the perception of Tawa is your first step. Mind you, a perception is a clump of sensations, including of the yi, thoughts and feelings. So your perception of Tawa is inherently unstable and moving and jumping around. However, once you have perceived it, then you are able to do the second step. I'm breaking this down. It really, not for everyone does it have to be broken down like this, but you, whoever some of you are, may find this helpful. Relax into that perception so it ceases to be a perception and becomes you. You are the awareness, not you have awareness. You are awareness. You are the seer that looks out from behind your eyes. Transparent light, clear light, is a symbol of the light by which the seer sees. That's why we use light as a symbol, because when there's no light, the seer cannot see. The awareness cannot be aware. Rigpa, seer. Did I answer that question?
I think so.
Okay, next one then.
Oh, you had it.
Amanda, did you bring your keys?
I did.
Good.
Now is as good a time to check as any.
Well, yeah, because I need to send someone over there to get some gifts for people.
Can you please explain how we experience the Dharmakaya?
No, I cannot. Next question. It won't fit in words, guys. How could I possibly explain it? Anyway, you know what an experience is? It's a stack of perceptions. So what you want me to do, if you want me to explain the experience, is how it is linearly in time, what thoughts, feelings, and sensations are involved in being Dharmakaya. I don't think I can explain that. It's big. There's nothing to it. It has no thoughts, feelings, sensations. And yet it's awake and aware. It's not until you mix Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, and Nirmanakaya that you separate them, you mix them, and you have a perceiver perceiving. Dharmakaya is not perceived. So I'm at a loss on that question. Give me another.
Using the video game simulation analogy, are we hardware, software, or both? Would enlightenment equal the meta-programmer level?
Sorry, I don't play video games. I can't really work that analogy for you. Who plays video games? Might try Palga Rinpoche. He's young and he's real computer savvy. I'm sure he's played some video games. And you might try Zongsar Khensi, who's also pretty young. I have no idea if he's played some video games. A lot of the young tulkus out in India could probably answer this question for you. I'm a little old, I grew up before video game. Well, we had Pac-Man. Mm-hmm. And next question.
Let's see. I find it hard to see myself as it. I don't want to believe it conceptually. I want to experience it. There's sort of an implied, how do I do that question there.
Well, that's an easy answer. Fucking practice, damn it. That's how. There's no other trick except, look, the last thing Milarepa said to Gampopa wordlessly as Gampopa left was he turned around, he lifted up his robes, and he showed him his calloused ass. Sit. That's how. I'm not getting the best questions this time. Let me open the text again. Okay.
You mentioned earlier that there was a PDF. Is this text available online?
I wish I knew where the hell I got it.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Okay, somebody else knows.
Mhm.
Okay.
Let me see what they actually named it online. What the translator calls it awakening to reality. Self-liberation through seeing with naked awareness in English and Chinese. That might help you find it.
I'm sorry, who's the author?
Guru Rinpoche.
Oh.
Padmasambhava is the author. Let me give you a bit more here. Sometimes if we go too fast on one of these texts, everyone has a wonderful time, but nobody actually practices it in between teachings. If we go too slow, the same problem. So I try to get the speed right so that people have a nice bite to take home and chew, but not so much that they can't possibly swallow that and have to spit some of it out. When you are introduced in this way through this exceedingly powerful method for entering into the practice, you discover directly that your own immediate self-awareness is just this and nothing else. Look at the looker. See? You always were this. You're not making it. Now, just do that a lot. That's all. Don't think about doing it a lot. Actually sit your butt down and let go. You know how many times I've sat my butt down and thought about letting go? And then had a fantasy or planned what I was going to cook for supper? You actually have to do it, even if only for 10 seconds. It counts. Before you plan supper. It has an inherent self-clarity, which is entirely unmade up. How can you speak then of not understanding the nature of mind, or of understanding the nature of mind? Intrinsic isness as it is, not made, not created, not acquired. The completely natural state when you stop doing other things. This is who you always were, who you always will be. All your entertainments involving hope and fear are simply a distraction from this. All the things you want are the treasures in your video game. All the things you fear are the monsters. I can take it that far from watching Nyando play them. These are what keep you busy and distracted and on the console instead of folding the laundry. And there is a fear underneath the distraction. What would happen if I really let go? We have a Rushen for that. Speech Rushen. Speech Rushen. Best done in person. And you can't do it indoors. So if you guys want it around here in Louisiana, we got to go out somewhere for 4 days. Fishing camp or something, I don't know. Find something. It needs to have good long view. So not like deep in the swamp, but like maybe by a lake or something. Yeah. Mountains are good, but there aren't any around here. Part of it is the fear for many of us. Part of it is habitual, obsessive, compulsive focusing on our entertainments. And our thoughts are our entertainment, as are our feelings. Isn't being in love fun for the first few weeks? Isn't being happy fun? Or excited? Isn't being stoned fun? Or drunk? Or even just a little bit tipsy? Chocolate's fun. These are all the entertainments that you focus your attention on instead of just leaving it be. I'm not telling you use it the Hinayana path of giving up your entertainments. That's not in this text. That's in some other texts, and we'll talk about that if we do one of those texts, but that's not here. There are other ways. If you want to know how many ways, read Buddha's Lions, cheaper. Or what's the other one, Nayanda?
Masters of Enchantment.
Masters of Enchantment, more expensive with prettier drawings. More of a coffee table one. It will show you just how many ways there are to become free of your obsessions. It's the story of the 84 of the Mahasiddhas of India, and the teachings each one of them received, which was different, and how they performed those teachings within the circumstances of the integrity of the dream they were living. So it's really cool that way. Housewives and gamblers and hunters and everything. Yes.
I find that I get obsessed about learning about all those different paths.
That's a stage.
So
It's called Sutrayana, where one is into learning all the different paths. Learn how to paddle a canoe, right? Before you go on an expedition, you do a lot of practicing. You try different canoes. I mean, do you like the wooden ones or the hollowed out ones? Would you prefer to have a kayak? So you try kayaks, you try canoes, you learn different paddle strokes. You check out all the different canoes around. You want like an inflatable, or does the wind blow it sideways in certain circumstances too easily? And you'd like a hard keel. Then you pick one to go on your expedition through the bayous. So you're at the point of checking out all the canoes and the kayaks. Eventually, you'll decide which one for you is the most comfortable one to paddle, and you'll climb in and go on your expedition. Does that make sense? That's not a bad time. You're quite young compared to me. And I explored many paths, and I will still occasionally wander off and check out a path. You might have something useful to somebody in it. I'm quite satisfied with mine, but I know that it won't fit everybody. So I'll go check out something else if I come upon it, or if I have the opportunity. Enjoy that period. But at some point, pick your damn kayak or canoe that you feel comfortable paddling. Because you can't cross the bayou in two of them at once. You'll just get wet. And there's crocs in that there water. Once you've decided to pursue a path, find someone who can teach you that path effectively. Don't try it from books. It's not all in the book. You need to have had the oral teaching. The books are like crib notes. The difference between Classics Illustrated, the comic book that you're using to do your book report on the book, and actually reading the language of the book. Big difference. So go find a teacher. If you want to know how to find a teacher, there are 3 things you need to do. You need to facilitate others coming together with their teachers. with your body, speech, and mind. So give people rides to the church, the gompa, the synagogue, the mitot. That way you're creating the cause to find your teacher. With your speech, say a mantra that means teacher, such as the Guru Rinpoche mantra. It may lead you to a teacher in a completely different line. Doesn't matter. Or a Jesus mantra, if there is such a thing. It's probably something, if that's the line, but one that symbolizes the teacher. I don't know if there's a Muhammad mantra, but there might be. Not one that symbolizes the Godhead, one that symbolizes teacherness. And with your mind, start wishing that everybody finds their teacher. If you do these three things, then you'll find yours. Karmic. And the more effort you put into this, the more effective your finding will be. This I know from personal experience. When you are meditating without finding anything there to meditate upon, how can you say that your meditation is not working? No, we're going to do this chapter next time. It's too deep. It's too many bites. You won't swallow it all. Have you all at least glimpsed what we're pointing at here? It's up to you. Sometimes just sit there without entertaining yourself. You can do it in the pub. You can do it on the bus if the bus ever comes. You can do it. Don't do it while driving. Won't work. You'll hit something. But you can do it while sitting on your porch, at your table in a cafe. You can do it at any time, anywhere. There's no doing to it. You actually simply stop doing. Like that. And you don't even have to stop doing for longer than that at a time. Just often. Any further questions on technique?
Yes, there was one.
I got one here, so give him while you find it.
Oh, yes. Here, have a microphone.
My question has to do with the inner yogas and the way in which Mahayoga, Anu Yoga will culminate in Ati Yoga.
So basically, Mahayoga and Anu Yoga involve sadhanas. All the sadhanas end in Ati Yoga, whether you go that far or not. Some people, at the dissolution at the end of a sadhana, just get up, dedicate the merits, and go. Everything goes into, everything absorbs into you are the archetype, everything absorbs into you. You are the archetype absorbs into the heart mantra stuff, then into the seed syllable in the middle, and the seed syllable absorbs into yourself. You're supposed to just sit there. However, most people don't. They just dedicate the merits and get up and go because they think they did their thing. Eventually, it is hoped that from repeating this again and again, you will finally begin to notice the end of it. And just sit there. And there's your Ati Yoga.
One more moment while I find this. Yes. When we sit and let go how far to relax?
All the way.
So if a trance state arises, that is that okay, or is that too far?
Whatever arises will arise. It's an entertainment. Trance state is not far enough. Now you're doing a trance state. Trance states are trained to different purposes, to channel things, for shamanistic works, for memorization. They're not fully relaxed. They're on the way to relaxation. You have to relax past the trance state. If you've been trained for shamanistic purposes to a trance state, you're going to have to, how would you do that? Okay, shamanistic trances are somewhat creative. They still have a focus, but it's more of a dreamtime focus. But you're still trained to a certain subtle focus within the trance state that you relax into, because it's more relaxed than day-to-day focus. So when you go into a shamanistic trance, I got trained in that at one point. It's very interesting. You still focus in the dream time, so you're not awake or asleep. At this point, you're trained to stop and do the work. And there's ways of carrying the work with you so it's not forgotten for whatever you went in there to do. That's not all the way relaxed. That's a stopping place on the way to relaxation. Go further. This is why also you sit properly when you do it. Because if you don't sit properly, you can fucking fall over. Proper sit is balanced. You can actually sleep in it. In fact, we do it in my cave. Not now, but in the old days. I only had a gomtree. I had no bed. Now I have a bed. Sometimes I let guests sleep in it, and I'll stay in the gomtree, but my knees aren't what they once were. Does that answer the question? I think. Go past the trance. I think we are fairly on toward complete. You guys think so? You got a bite to chew? You know how to chew it? Try not to add pepper or hot sauce, just to make it more interesting. Ye wadi nyor dudak che che sala go pashu. Nando, give me your keys.
Okay. And can we mention the translators?
Yes.
We had a lot of them today.
What languages did we have today?
Let's see. French, Russian, Hebrew, Georgian, I think one or
Remember
Spanish.
where I took this from?
And
So I think
let's see,
underneath
French,
it is a
German,
basket with
Georgian,
many blue
Hebrew,
bracelets.
Russian,
And some.
in Spanish. So at least 6 languages
Wow,
there.
okay. Remember how I said it was important, at least to me, to have this variety of people, this diversity, inclusiveness? What is it that everybody's crapping on these days? Diversity?
Equity, inclusivity.
What the hell is wrong with diversity, equity, and inclusivity? It's a wonderful thing.
Oh, and Turkish today.
Oh, we had Turkish today.
So-
Cool. So look, y'all, if you've been listening to me in a language other than English, please make an offering to your translator. And if you've been listening to me in English, go pick one of the translators and make an offering. I really want to keep the translators, and it makes me happy to see many of them. Okay? Yes, you can give me a gift if you want, but it's going to make me really happy if you support the translators. Thank you. If anyone also wishes to become the benefactor to one of the yogis up in the caves, send me an email to that purpose, and I'll pass you on to the people who help me with that. So thank you all for coming. What is our next public? Let me look. Working with emotions. Okay, that's one where you have to be in it. Unless you're here. You can just wander into the Gompa from here in New Orleans. And that's fine. But online, we have a limit of about 50. So you have to sign up for the online. For those of you who come here for that, there's some criteria. You have to at least be able to see the emptiness of your thoughts when you want to, when you remember to and try to. If you can't do that, you won't be able to do the method. So you have to at least be able to look past your thoughts and stop putting the talk in between them that hooks them together. And relax there for a bit. If you can't do that, you're not going to succeed at this. The other thing I highly recommend is having practiced the Chenrezig sadhana. It will help you in case you discover a trauma that you'd been hiding from. It's been known to happen, and it'll give you a safe place to deal with that. So those are pretty much, if you guys want to come here, yeah, come on. If you have these two criteria. If you don't, come to something else. There'll be something after that. Because this, you won't be able to do it. You see, the first step is to strip your emotion naked of the story that supports it. And the way that is done is by looking directly through it, through the story, and letting the talks, the little togethers, disappear. And then you get a naked emotion. But I'll talk more about that in the retreat. You got to have a naked emotion to work with it. So if you can't strip an emotion naked by seeing through the story, work on that first before you come to this retreat. So within that criteria, you're all invited. And I have some gifts that go with this class. It's a reminder. Relax. Let go of all your entertainments for a moment. And don't poke at it. Leave it be. Don't poke at your mind. Don't poke at anything. Relax, let go, leave be. Until the next one of these that we do here, till next month. Let this remind you to practice. When you come up, I give it to you. Well, don't just sit there and stare at me. And we're done online.
Okay, so we are complete now.
Oh, thank you, baby.
Thank you.